Hello. So if you have been keeping up with the current ongoings of The Elder Scrolls Online, you will know that ZeniMax added a new mythic item called the Oaken Soul Ring. This new mythic, in my opinion, is a little bit overtuned, and I understand they're doing that because they want to make 1-bar builds on par with 2-bar builds, but in reality I think 1-bar builds are going to be much more powerful than 2-bar builds. This just makes it feel like ZeniMax is really trying hard to remove the skill gap in this game, which is really sad. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about the top 5 bestest backbar weapons of all time. I say the top 5 best backbar weapons of all time because ZeniMax hasn't added any new weapon skill lines ever, and I do not believe that they are going to add any new skill lines. Do keep in mind that this is my opinion, and yours may be different. And, listen, each of these weapons has a specific place with a specific build that calls for their use. I'm not saying all these are completely useless. These are in order of, number 5 being the weakest in my opinion, and then number 1 being the best in my opinion. And I'm judging these in their terms of overall what they provide as a backbar choice on any kind of build. And I'm looking at this through a PvP lens, of course. So do keep that in mind. And with all that said, let us get into the top 5 bestest backbar weapons of all time. Okay, maybe it'll change at some point, but all time currently, going into high. Okay, so deal with it. Since this is a top 5, well, we're only gonna do 5, so here's your honorable mention. Can you guess who didn't make the list? I'll give you a hint.
Hey, you wanna see a magic trick?
No.
Too bad. Watch this. Heh, did you see it?
Yes, I saw it. Can I go now?
Yes, you may leave. You wanna see another magic trick?
I'm out of here. For our honorable mention, we have dual wield. I did test all of these, by the way. I put a build together that somewhat could use these things, and dual wield by far performed the worst. Sure, you could use the Black Rose Prison dual wield and use Quick Cloak, but that's still not enough justification to run dual wield on the backbar at all. Dual wield's primary kit with its passive and its skills are focused on being extremely offensive, so unless you're playing a double offensive bar build, then dual wield is not a good choice for a backbar. And I don't want to dive too deep into it, but basically all I'm going to say is Race Against Time is a lot better than Quick Cloak, so why in the world even use dual wield on the backbar?
So in tasting, what we do is...
In the number 5 spot, we have the bow and arrow. For this list, we are looking at each of these as what they can provide defensive-wise, because normally that's where all your defense is on your backbar. So that's why we're looking at them in terms of defense and rating them based off of that. And it's no surprise that the bow and arrow ranks this low on the list. It doesn't have any really good defensive capabilities. It has good offensive pressure, it being a bow and arrow, but the only thing it offers defensive-wise is the passive hasty retreat, which is whenever you roll dodge, you get major expedition for 4 seconds. And when looking at it in the bigger picture, that's just not enough to keep you alive. Sure, you could roll dodge and then run faster after you roll dodge. That's always helpful, but that's not enough to justify running it on the back bar. The only reason you'd run a bow and arrow on the back bar is if you had the Master's Bow on the back bar and you were playing a really offensive kind of build like on a Nightblade. And playing an offensive build means your defense is not strong, so you have to have some sort of built-in class ability or something that can keep you alive. The Nightblade has Cloak, so it works really well with that. Outside of that, having a bow and arrow on the back bar in any other class like that is just very difficult to get away with, simply because the bow and arrow does not have any built-in defenses other than Hasty Retreat, which, by the way, you can get the Hasty Retreat buff even if you're on your front bar, if after you roll dodge you quickly switch to your back bar, and it still gives you the major expedition. It's pretty cool.
Take a small amount right off the top.
In the number 4 spot, we have the Destruction Staff. I have the Destruction Staff in the number 4 spot because it can provide very good defense if you're running an Ice Staff. And I say if you're running an Ice Staff because all the other staffs, Lightning and Inferno, are just not good defensively, and it's very difficult to get any use out of them. The Destruction Staff has a very offensive kit if you're using the Inferno or the Lightning Staff. When it comes to the Ice Staff, though, that's where the defense can be used. And what it does is it allows you to block, and instead of costing stamina to block, it costs magic to block. And other than that, you don't get much. The other thing I'd recommend if you're going to use a Destruction Staff on the back bar is to use the Beta Shrens Destruction Staffs, especially the Beta Shrens Ice Staff, as that's very powerful if you're trying to play defensive and keep up a little bit of pressure. But overall, the Destruction Staffs are very weak to have on the back bar, unless it's an Ice Staff, of course, but that is why the Destruction Staffs are in the number 4 spot.
It doesn't take much. That's the warmest part right here. I'm going to invert the spoon.
In the number 3 spot, we have the One-Handed Shield. Now I know what you're thinking, but the one-handed shield is ranked pretty low. Why is it not higher? Well, the one-handed shield is really good at playing defensive, and that's about it. You can turtle down with it, you can hold block, and you can use your class abilities to heal. And the one-handed shield has one job, and that is to play very defensive, and it does its job well. It doesn't give you any buffs, it doesn't give you any, heals. It just lets you play really, really defensive, and that's it. And for some builds, that's all you could ask for. You have a very powerful offensive kit on your front bar, and you need some really solid defense on your back bar. The one-handed shield has got you. You don't need any additional buffs. You can use a one-handed shield. But for most classes, that's not going to be the case. You'll have to find something else in its place to use that's not a one-handed shield. The one-handed shield works really good on classes that lack a lot of defense but have really good offensive pressure. The problem is, at that point, the one-handed shield is only effective really on your back bar, because when you're on your back bar, you're literally invulnerable as long as you have the sustain to keep blocking and you're able to move and heal yourself. But once you're on your front bar, you become very squishy and a soft target and very easy to kill. Because with the one-handed shield, you have all of your eggs in one basket when it comes to defense. So as long as you're on your back bar, you're very difficult to kill. But the second you switch to your front bar to try and go offensive, if a good player reads that, they can interrupt you, stun you while you're on your front bar, and you'll get bursted. And you're not going to be on your back bar to defend yourself. So at that point, you're just going to die. But a lot of the time, it's very easy to use a one-handed shield, like super easy, because all you gotta do is hold block and heal till your health is at full, and then you can go offensive, and then just repeat when your health gets lower. And that's why the one-handed shield is in the number 3 spot.
Cover all 9,000 taste bud.
In the number 2 spot, we have the Restoration Staff. The Restoration Staff does what it's designed to do, which is restore health, and it does it very, very well. In fact, it not only restores your health, but, as it should, it restores your allies' health as well, which becomes an issue when everyone starts running a Restoration Staff. Then there's plenty of healing to go around, and no one ends up dying because there's so much healing. As you mitigate all of the damage that you take, because your health immediately gets restored to you, because it's a Restoration Staff. And yeah, about those heals, they're very powerful. Not only does the really main heal that a lot of people use, which is Radiating Regeneration, carry over to your front bar, so when you switch to your front bar to go offensive, you're still getting defense in the form of healing over time. But also, it allows any burst heals that you have, so if you have a class burst heal, it allows those to heal you for a lot more just by having a Restoration Staff equipped. And thus, your defense comes in the form of your ability to just heal everything and all the damage that comes your way. You don't even have to have a really high defense when you could just press a couple buttons and your health is back at full. Because you die when your health runs out. But if your health never runs out, how can you die? See, that's the logic with the Restoration Staff. This makes it a very good backbar choice if you're going to be playing with groups as well, because if you're going to use Radiating Regeneration, or any heal for that matter, on the Restoration Staff, not only does it go to you, but it can go to your allies as well, and that is very powerful in keeping everyone alive, and it's very annoying because everyone nowadays runs a Restoration Staff, and they just cross-heal each other, and then no one dies, and it's just super annoying. But that is why people use the Restoration Staff, because it is so powerful with the amount of healing that you get, that it's just better than just pure defense. And like I said, the healing that you get on the back bar can carry over to the front bar, allowing you to go offensive at the same time as playing defensive. And if things do get bad, you could just go right back to your Restoration Staff and just start spamming a burst heal. In this case, it would be Coagulating Blood, because that skill is busted. Also, the Restoration Staff is amazing for helping you sustain your magic, as just 1 or 2 heavy attacks fully charged with the Restoration Staff will immediately send you back to a full pull of magic, which is ridiculous, because if you have like 3 pieces of heavy armor on top of the passive that you get with the Restoration Staff, basically sustain is very easy as long as you can get those fully charged heavies to go off every single time. And that is what makes the Restoration Staff a very, very good back bar choice, because of the amount of healing that you get, and its ability to allow you to play defensive as well as offensive. The weakness with the Restoration Staff comes in the fact of its sustained healing, as if you just keep spamming those heals and you just keep going, you need to find time to get that heavy resto in, or else you're going to run out of magic really quick, as everything on the Restoration Staff is magic based, and that can be pretty taxing. But it's really easy to get those back as long as you keep up your heavy restos. Literally, you just press one button and then boom, magic. You just get magic. And this choice was difficult because between this one and the number 1 spot, I had a difficult time deciding which one should go first, but I just picked my favorite and the one I use all the time, so...
That's a 10.
In the number one spot, we have the two-handed, and oh boy do I love the two-handed, mainly because of the one buff that makes the two-handed great, and that is rally, or momentum. Because what it does is it gives you so much that is so very valuable, and it's all packed into one skill. It gives you damage, it gives you recovery, and it gives you a burst heal, a very powerful burst heal. And that is very powerful, and like I said, it's all loaded into one skill. So you don't need to slot multiple abilities in order to get all the buffs that you're looking for. It's all packed into one. And did I mention on top of that the buff can be converted into a proc as well that hurts and hits really, really hard? Yeah. And when we start talking about all that stuff, you could see why I love my two-handed. Defense-wise, you could put a defending trait on it like you can with everything, which will get you some built-in mitigation, or you could put powered on it if you really want to pump up that healing. But mainly, all of that defense comes in the form of rally, because while rally is ticking, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and if you have the Vate Strand up, it gets even stronger and stronger and stronger the more stacks of Vate Strand that you have, allowing you to have really powerful healing. And as we discussed, very powerful healing equals very powerful defense. If you didn't know, your healing scales off of the higher of your weapon or spell damage, and Rally gives you Brutality and Sorcery, which will help scale your healing. On top of the Vate Strand proc, if you decide to use it, every single tick of the Vate Strand proc, so every time you use a stamina ability, will also increase your healing, which is very powerful. And its ability, the two-handed's ability to allow you to heal yourself and stay alive through that healing, and its ability to allow you to go offensive in the form of giving you extra damage, is just very valuable when it comes to being on a backbar, and that is why I put it in the number one spot. And yeah, that'll about do it for my top 5 bestest backbar weapons of all time. If you're still watching by this point, then that means you really enjoyed watching the video. I'm assuming because you're still here. And if you did, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. So we're really close to 1K subs, and I can't wait to hit it because then I could do a Q&A for you guys. So any support that you guys can show, whether it's through comment, liking, or subscribing to the channel, really helps with my channel and the YouTube algorithms, which is very nice because then that means more people can watch these videos, more people can learn, and more people can join our very, very lovely community. And I do hope you enjoyed the gameplay. I did try to make it a little bit more gameplay heavy, but like, you know, it's not just, you know, me sitting in my inventory for like 50 minutes going over stuff. But hopefully the gameplay is good enough for you, and you learned something, and you found this video entertaining and educational at the same time, which is what I aimed to do. And with all that said, I hope you have a good night.